Okay, we're on. Thank you for reminding me. I appreciate it.
No worries.
Okay, so we had talked about the importance of the underwriting guidelines with the carriers and how important it is to follow those underwriting guidelines. And I wanted to dive a little bit deeper to explain some things, you need to really pay attention as far as the underwriting guidelines and certain aspects of it, meaning I will show you an example here. Let me bring this over. All right, can everybody see my monitor?
Yes.
Good. So this is Lincoln National, and these are their underwriting guidelines. And this is what we care about right here, the age and amount of the underwriting, the requirements. Now, this is specific, see how it says specific to permanent and term products. Some of the providers offer underwriting guidelines specific to certain products. The term accelerated underwriting program, which is their quick process, it has their own underwriting guidelines, which because they do a telephone interview, will most likely consist of just basic, remember how we were talking about the physical measurements and the blood and urine? So most likely that's where, and where am I finding this here? Usually anytime a telephone interview is involved, because they go over the medical history with the client, the carriers, the way that they look at it is if they're getting that information from a client, they're not going to want to go and do it over again with a pyramid examiner and go over all those questions where I showed you a copy of what the exam looked like. So they only want to do it once. Not only do they not want to irritate the client, but the carrier doesn't, they're trying to keep their expenses down, okay? So anytime usually a telephone interview is completed, they usually just want physical measurements, blood and urine, and that consisted of the blood pressure, the pulse, the weight that we had talked about before. And I don't know why I'm having problems. Okay. Let me just make sure I got it. Okay. So one important thing that I wanted to talk to you about is second to die. We had talked about second to die policies where that is, there's two insureds, usually a husband and wife, but believe it or not, there are instances and there are carriers. I've had two business partners before. It's, that was a long time ago. So don't necessarily think that a survivorship might just be, in most cases, I would say 90% of the time, it will be a husband and wife. And again, in order for the policy to pay, both of the insureds would have to be deceased. So in that situation, if you have a death benefit of $1 million, like you would as an individual insured, usually you just go down here and you would see 500, let's say it's $1 million policy. You go $1 million, and let's say they're 49. So there would just be a pyramid, blood and urine. But because the second to die requires both insured to be deceased for the policy to pay, you will see here up in the fine print, it says divide the face amount in half for all requirements, okay? So if the death benefit is $1 million and we're dividing it in half, that's 500,000 at 49. So each insured, let's say they're both 49, each insured would be a pyramid, blood and urine. If it was let me find you another instance. Let's say the death benefit is $1 million and the wife is 49 and the husband is 55. So you divide the death benefit in half, 500. The wife would be a pyramid, blood and urine, and then that wasn't a good example. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to show you they will not be the same medical requirements. they would, let's dig a little bit deeper here. Let's say 2 million, okay? Sorry, guys, I'm trying to give you an example. 2 million right here. So let's say that you divide the death benefit in half, which is 1 million. The wife is 49, so she would have a pyramid blood and urine. And then the husband, he's 55, he needs a pyramid blood, urine, and an EKG. Okay, so the requirements are different for each individual insured based on their age and the death benefit. So don't think that just because one is just a pyramid blood and urine, the other one is to follow suit, or vice versa. If the husband was to have full pyramid blood, urine, and EKG, that the wife would have the same. They each have their own individual underwriting requirements based on their age. So just make sure you always consider the death benefit half for survivorship. Now it gets a little bit more complicated if, let's say, you have an application, and let me find you the fine print.